Orleans is America's city. It's a unique creature of the United States. New Orleans is a crucible of America. We have no unique institutions except jazz, which was invented here. So this is America's soul. If America's soul dies, so does America.
The old New Orleans in the state of Louisiana. They called it the Pearl of the South. But everything changed in August 2005 when Hurricane Katrina blasted ashore, leaving 1,500 dead and destroying 250,000 homes across the state. When the levee surrounding New Orleans broke, the city quite literally drowned.
Maybe you can compare this with Hiroshima or Nagasaki, where you destroyed good portions of the city and you were unable to occupy them for a long time.
I've come here to see what has or hasn't changed since then. In many ways, the city looks and sounds normal, at least in the centre of town. And by night, the famous Bourbon Street in the French Quarter is pumping out the jazz, just like the old days. But appearances can be deceptive.
Most of us are homeowners who can't even get into our own home because of the condition that they're in, and then we're forced to pay, high rents, and we're not making the wages that we need to, pay the rent and to just keep our head above water. You talk about a flood that passed through here, but that's still a flood here. And a lot of people are just barely above the flood line.
So all these blocks here, there were houses on all these.
Every inch of square land you see back here is a property.
John is the tuba player from the band, and he wants to take me to his home in the hardest hit part of the city, the lower 9th Ward.
All of them.
And where have they all gone?
They've all, the ones that did not wash away were torn down by the city. The ones that washed away ended up almost to Chalmette. And all of this was neighborhoods. Everybody lived here. Think about all the people who had homes here.
The poor and black residents suffered most when the hurricane hit. And I'm about to learn that they are still suffering.
And this, I don't know how it's been locked, but, it's not hard. You come in and this was the kitchen that we had in the house, and all of the copper piping and all that was in. People have been stealing that. There's still some of it on this side, but
they'll be coming here stealing your copper piping.
Oh yeah, they're stealing everything. It's a cutthroat place now. It's like a third world country. You have to do what you have to do.
Like the Wild West going on here.
Right.
With his house flooded up to the rafters, John's family was evacuated interstate and hasn't yet returned. He now lives at a friend's place.
Right here in the kitchen.
Yeah.
The refrigerator was here.
One of thousands of homeowners caught in a catch-22 situation. He doesn't have the money to rebuild his home, and the state government won't let him return until it's repaired.
I own a property. I'm still paying taxes on it. I have to pay taxes every year. The city will just take my property from me. And, the bad thing is, there's nothing I can do with it, not at this point.
Nothing?
Nothing.
And as bizarre as it sounds, John is even in debt to the city for not cutting his lawn. So they want you to pay $100 a day to cut this grass?
Yes, $100 a day if it's not. Every day if it's not cut, it's $100 that I pay to the city. This is a light that was been there since Katrina, and that's still Katrina water 2 years later. That's how high the water was here.
As I move around, the lower 9th resembles a ghost town. What number's that?
5006.
5006. And your house used to be in there?
Right.
And what happened to it?
It floated away.
Have you ever seen it since?
No. We never saw it yet, can't much find it. We was trying to find it to try to get some sentimental things out there, but we couldn't even much find it.
John Gray is another resident who seems to be in shock 2 years after the flood. How's it affected your health?
Mentally?
Mentally, depression.
It is devastating. It's devastating. It's devastating. It's sad. It is really sad. And you got people homeless, hungry, and everything else out here, committing suicide and everything else. And it's just bad.
John was a paralegal working for a well-known law firm. But ever since Katrina, he's been jobless and survives on the food provided by this charity centre.
We're providing 3 meals a day. We had childcare here during the summer. We're gutting houses for people, rewiring houses for people. If it wasn't for the private sector and religious groups, a lot of this work wouldn't be getting done because the government's not doing it.
And most of these people have lost their homes during Katrina?
Just about all of them.
All of them. The charity business is booming. I check another centre that's just opened. The story was depressingly similar. More homeless people.
Before Katrina, I was doing all right. You know, I had my own place. I was staying with one of my daughters.
That's right.
But since then, the rent is so sky high. I get $600-something a month.
Can't meet the requirements.
Can't meet the requirements to pay no regular rent. Before Katrina, I could afford it.
That's right.
Serving about 110, 115 meals a day, serving folks who have nowhere else to go. There's no place in the daytime for folks to go. Many of them are folks who had a place to stay, like the gentleman we were just talking to, and have nothing now, nowhere to go.
Because of Katrina?
Because of Katrina, because the apartment they may have rented is flooded out. The landlord couldn't afford to fix it. The other rents they can't afford, so they have nowhere to go.
But Don, this is 2 years down the track.
Yes.
What's gone wrong here?
Oh, there's such little leadership around here, political leadership around here, at the state, local, federal level. Nobody knows what to do or how to do it. They're all passing the buck.
Much of the buck stops with this man. Dr. Ed Blakely lives and works in Sydney. How's it going today?
It's good.
He's the chair of Urban and Regional Planning at Sydney University.
The owners and their restoration of this.
He was appointed by the Mayor of New Orleans to oversee the reconstruction of the city.
But, here's a grand facade, but it needs to start looking like a grand facade again.
So where does that money come from?
Well, that's the 117.
Today he's leading a tour group of would-be investors, civic leaders and journalists.
Now, everything we're doing has to be done consistent with a public benefit. We're not doing anything for private benefit. So doing these facades for public benefit. 2 years after any major event like this, you'd just be rebuilding. Now, we've rebuilt most of our private, homeowner housing stock in that 2-year period, which is quite remarkable. When I came here, we didn't even have street signs up. Many of the streets weren't paved. We didn't have basic services and so on. So my first thing had to do was get those things right. And then we have to start getting our businesses right. They're coming back, about 85% of those businesses are back. So we're getting our jobs back. I think we're doing things in the right priority.
This one's been gutted, but look at it. No one could doubt Ed Blakely has a monumental task on his hands to rebuild the shattered city. But where do the homeless and those in the lower 9th Ward stand when it comes to priorities?
We are taking our time in the lower 9th Ward because first we had to knock down houses in order to build them back. And like any development project, and all the developers in Sydney knows, it takes about 4 or 5 years to get your permits, and then you got several years of building.
And if working class homeowners are in for a long wait, it's another story altogether when it comes to public housing. When I turned up at the Lafitte housing project, this was the scene.
Somebody is just throwing out all of my clients' personal belongings, you know.
Tracy Washington is a lawyer for those who once lived here.
You know, I mean, my clients don't know what's going on. If they knew, maybe they could come and get their things. Maybe they could come and get their air conditioners or their chairs or their clothes or something. These buildings have been shut up for 2 years and folks haven't been able to get in. They haven't been told what's going to happen with their property. They haven't been told anything.
These buildings have been slated for demolition under a federal government program. After Katrina, the Fed seized the opportunity to begin clearing the area.
They have said for years that these buildings need to be torn down.
Do they?
No. Let me show you something. If this is my water line, this is my water line. That's the bottom of, you know, here's somebody's house. The water stopped here.
Pretty good to me, Tracy.
That was in very good condition.
Tracy, just here for instance, look here, there's a DVD there, these are, and a washing machine.
Oh yeah.
These are people's possessions, they're just going to throw those away, are they?
They're going to throw everything away that was in
What
there.
happens to those people?
I doubt seriously they've notified any of the people that are here. And that's what's so disturbing for me. Because they spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to hire these people to come and throw stuff out, but they can't hire, you know, they can't spend that same amount of money to take the shutters off and put my clients back in their buildings. You come in with a little bleaching water, you wash it down, and ta-da, it's back.
We wanted to do some things, tear down some public housing that has been in deplorable condition for the last 10 years. The conditions are not good, and rebuild those homes, and that resulted in a lawsuit. So a lawsuit holds down the progress of committing on that. But meanwhile, there's been 5,000 units that have been rebuilt.
A world away from the lower Ninth Ward, among the marble and fine furniture of this grand hotel, I find Donald Powell. He's the man in charge of federal funding for New Orleans.
I think it's a partnership of a lot of people. I think it's a partnership of the federal government. I think it's a partnership of the state and of the locals and the private sector, and obviously individuals have to take some initiative to assist and help themselves, and I see that, very frankly, with people along the Gulf Coast.
The federal government has made a decision, and we don't think it's the right decision, to keep those units closed until they either knock them down or rehabilitate them. We don't think that's the right decision. We think the right decision is to open some of them up, let some of our residents come back, and have them participate in either the remodeling of them or in the destruction of them.
Tracy Washington says the federal government simply wants the poor residents out in order to build condominiums for the wealthy.
You don't want public housing because you don't want poor people? Newsflash, folks. You know how you get rid of poor people? You pay them more. But you don't keep paying people $6 an hour and then tell them, we don't have a goddamn place for you to live. That's what's so insane about the city of New Orleans.
And there's a political conspiracy theory going around here too, that Republican power brokers wouldn't mind shifting out poor blacks who usually vote Democrat.
That's unfortunate because...
Any truth in that?
That's unfortunate because, for instance, the levee system is going to be rebuilt, reconstructed, redesigned to protect all of the people in New Orleans.
A lot of poor people have said to me that they think it's deliberate to get them out of some of these areas.
I won't go there, but I think there may be something to that.
This is Imelda Royce, and she would like to get some of her stuff out of her apartment before it gets thrown out.
In the middle of Tracy's tirade against the authorities, one of the elderly ex-residents arrives, worried about her possessions.
Can you just give her the assurance that she will come out anytime?
1721 what?
Yeah. St. Peter. St. Peter. Can you just give her the assurance that
Give her the assurance through tomorrow. After tomorrow, I can't.
Okay. All right.
That's my word, Tracy Mercadale. All right? Through tomorrow. After tomorrow, I can't guarantee anything.
Is it any time or anything?
You have to call and schedule an appointment.
But you tell them when they set the appointment that Tracy Mercadale has said that he's guaranteed that your stuff will be here only through tomorrow. So if they give you an appointment on Saturday, your stuff is going to be trashed. You know, so tell them that you have to have your appointment tomorrow. All right? That'll be fine. All right. Yeah, go put your teeth in too.
What about situations where people couldn't get back into their homes to get their possessions out? Yeah. Two years goes past, the possessions have rotted away.
That's right. Now again, that's public housing.
Yes.
And the public housing, people weren't able to do that. In private housing, they had access to their houses within a few weeks. Again, here we have a difference between what the federal government wants to do and what the local government wants to do.
And they won't listen to you? I mean, if you say to them, these people want to get their things out of their houses and they can't.
No. The federal government has its position, and we cannot override the federal government. If the President of the United States empowered me to do that, I could. And I did ask for that.
You asked for that?
Oh, yeah.
And he said no, obviously.
Said no.
The federal government blames local government. The local government blames the feds. In the meantime, people are still suffering 2 years later.
Yeah, I don't think, Dave, it's productive to blame individuals. This is a partnership between the federal government, the locals, and the state. But look, we're committed to helping, assisting all of our partners in getting this work done.
We have an active conflict here. That conflict can't be resolved quickly or easily.
Must be so frustrating for you.
It is. That is frustrating for me because I can't reach into the federal government like that.
While the money for rebuilding the city is divided between state and federal programs, many say this shared responsibility is just an excuse for buck passing. Meanwhile, right outside City Hall is the sad result of another blunder by the authorities. Despite the housing crisis, the Mayor of New Orleans asked for people to return to their city, so they did. And now many find themselves living in this bandstand.
No homes at all.
Why is that?
Because the rent is very high.
And these people can't afford to
pay rent. But they will work.
You know, and this is what we come back to.
And you got nothing?
I don't have anything. I lost everything, but that was just, I was renting. But I'm taking depression medicine now. You know, and before Katrina, man, I was in perfect health. I have some friends that have killed themselves because this the way we're living.
Depression?
Yeah.
So are there many people like you that you've seen around?
It's a lot of people.
In the same position?
A lot of people. It's all over the city. Big people riding around in big cars, big people living in big homes. Poor people still going to food lines, getting food stamps.
Crimes doubled?
Yes.
Suicide?
Doubled.
What reason do you give for that?
Despondency. People have given up, and nothing is more important to the mayor and me than this. He talks constantly about our mental health problem. It's really tough here, tougher than you could imagine.
I think it's very important that we operate in the sunshine and the transparency type of environment. Our office will be putting up very quickly a website where various stakeholders can go to that website and see, for example, where a school may be as it relates to the construction progress or lack thereof. So the people can see where the holdup is. Is the holdup at the federal level, is it at the state level, or is it at the local level?
The locals probably don't care where the holdup is, they just want some action.
And we had homes at one time. We would like to have our homes back. We would like to have a decent living wage. We would want to have fair housing practice. We would want some of the housing projects to open up again.
Fired up, we ain't taking no more. Fired up, we ain't taking no more.
But not all the good people of New Orleans are waiting on the government. In the upper ninth, these houses have been built by a cooperative of musicians. With funding from a private group called Habitat for Humanity, 70 houses will eventually be built. The musicians are using what's called sweat equity. You build my house, and I'll help build yours.
Katrina actually brought reality to New Orleans that, you know, it could be here today and gone tomorrow. You know, everything is not certain to you.
Alfred Groh is a trombonist in the Free Agents Brass Band.
It's happening. It's not like it's not happening. It's not happening as fast like we had thought it would. It's taking 2 years, and it's going to probably take more than 2 years, probably 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the line. But we're striving to make it work. You know, we're going to make it work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're going to make it work, you know.
For many, though, home for the last 2 years has been a trailer in a trailer park. These parks are still scattered right across the southern states. The lucky ones, like Mrs. Matthews, have a trailer parked outside their homes.
Life has changed totally. It's a different New Orleans to me. I don't know about anybody else. And I still have my feelings, I have my moments. But because I know it could never be the same. But we gotta move on, and that's what you keep in mind. You gotta move on and go ahead and make the best of each day and try not to let it get you down. That's all we try to encourage each other, because we do have our days, we still do.
And to make matters worse, many of the people living in these trailers, hastily built for the federal government, had to be evacuated again because of toxic fumes from formaldehyde used in the trailer construction. For some, Katrina is a harsh memory that will never fade. This man lost everything. His family was swept away by the flood. I tried to speak with him, but he was too depressed to answer. His mute testimony to the disaster reminded me again that the scars from Katrina may never heal, and rebuilding will take many more years.
People say to me also that they can't see any light at the end of the tunnel. They've had it. They've just worn out.
I understand that. As the mayor and I say, we now see the tunnel. The light will come later.
I couldn't help thinking that Ed Blakely's plan for New Orleans works for those who can fend for themselves. But those in need, thousands of them, are a very different story.